Hello everyone, and thank you for your patience because it took me a little while to make a new video on Final Fantasy XIV. Issue was my internet was not working correctly, but now, surprisingly, it's back up, so I am able to do more stuff, and this is something I wanted to do. Probably not everyone needs it, probably not many people need it in particular, but if you're new to healing and if you're using a controller and you need some advice to how to put your skills up, this might be something for you. And I, for combat, am using 2 hotbars on every character. I have a third one for some macros over here, but this is really just for, like you see, for instant cast and for eye for an eye macro and for need MP macro, but that's something you don't always use, so this is something I put aside on my third bar. But which I am really using are these 2. I try to align my skills like on this one, on the first one, or well, it's technically the second because my first one is just for moving around, but that's something I do not use in combat except for protect, because protect is something you use outside of combat usually, so this is not included in these 2, even though we have some empty spaces now since Stormblood hit, which is kinda ridiculous, but okay. First one is my healing page. This is the one on circle. And one more thing, because I'm using X2, I can only use like R1 and switch immediately between them. I have to use R1 and circle to get back, but I can only use R1 once and be on my battle page right away. I think that's convenient. But mostly, my important skills are over here, because you will usually, the things you will probably use the most is R2 and the 4 buttons, and therefore these 4 are probably the skills I'm using the most. Mostly probably regen and medica, but if I need a big heal I have cure 2 over here and I have cure over here. If I need something more fancy I have medica 2 over here, which is also activated by circle. I do need L2, but I can use circle like on medica. That's something for muscle memory. I tried to put similar skills on the same side. The same with cure 3. I had to put cure 3 somewhere and I didn't have another circle available, but the right direction is on the right side, same as cure, same as medica, and that's why I could put this one on here. So these 3 AoE heals are pretty easy for my muscle memory because they are all on the right side. So besides that, I have my off global cooldowns over here, because I think personally they are easier to put over here, because first of all I can't use them all the time. They have pretty big cooldowns, right? Like here 95 sec, okay, not Asuna, but Asuna is something I really don't use that often, so that's another reason why to put it here. But Presence of Mind, 150 seconds. Plenary Indulgence is something this you probably ignore most of the time, or even if it's up and you use it, it's 15 seconds cooldown. And Asylum is 90 seconds. Also these over here, you can't use them permanently. So since these skills cannot be used all the time, I put them on the left side, because you will probably use R2 more often than L2. That was my thought in here. So also have Swiftcast over here on the top one, also Presence of Mind, because they, like, that's also a muscle memory thing. These 2 skills speed up my healing or DPSing or whatever. They speed up my spells, so that's why I put them all on top. So besides that, I also have Lucid Dreaming. Lucid Dreaming is something I will probably use more often, especially on WHITEMAGE, because MP refresh is something you always want, and also cutting down your enmity, because if you're spamming too much Holy or Medica, you will eventually draw some aggro, and since you don't want that, it should be on the right side for me. Also Divine Benison is something that I usually use once it is available, and also that's why I put it on the right side, because like that I can cure 2, I will instantly get my Lily, and I will still be on the same page for Divine Benison. So usually I go like Q2, regen, and while I'm off global cooldown I can use Divine Benison. That's like the combination I usually use if I want to put Divine Benison. Also Lagis, which was I again forget the fucking skill, even though some people pointed it out to me on the last video. But yeah, Lagis is something I want on the right side too, because 90 seconds is not too long, but it is, well, it's not too long, it's not too short, but it's something that increases my healing, and I also want it on the right side. And that's the reason why I have this on here. Tetra, On the left side, because Tetra, it can only be used all 60 seconds, which is actually shorter than Lucky's, but I got used to having this skill since level 34 or something on this side, and that's something I got used to. I did change my skills a little bit around, like before I had some DPSing skills on this first page too, but I made way for it. So this is pretty much my healing page. That's how I do it. And also you can see up here I put my off global cooldowns up here just in case you're not looking down here all the time, because over here it's easier to keep track of them. So like for example, if I use Presence of Mind, you can see the countdown right here, because if I'm going on my DPS page I have this one too. But for example Thin Air, I have Thin Air only on my DPS page and not on my healing page, so I cannot see if Thin Air is available if I'm not on that page. So that's something I would recommend putting up if people need advice how to do it on PS4. I can simply show you how. You just go to your HUD layout and put up hotbar, at least hotbar 2 or hotbar 3 or whatever. And what you also have to do is go to character configuration, go to hotbar, and over here you click on hotbar 2 to make it available. You can also use other hotbars like over here, which you can see, if you really want to. You don't have to, and you can also decide how you want to lay it out, right? Like you have 12 in 1 row or 6 in 2 rows, 4 in 3 rows. You can do it however you like, but I prefer this square hotbar. So you can use this also on every other job. Like on a tank I would actually put my cooldowns up here too, just in case. So anyway, my DPSing page, they have all my attacks over here, but like I said, since Stormblood hit, we kinda have less skills than before, so there are some empty spaces. Also Fluid Aura before was up here for me because I usually used it together with Arrow 1, but since Fluid Aura is not dealing any damage anymore, which is kinda ridiculous, I am not having it on there anymore. I still use it sometimes in dungeons if a tank like misses a mob or something and I push it back to place, but usually I'm not using Fluid Aura anymore. So over here, only Stone 4. Before I had a macro which was using Stone 3 or Stone 2 or Stone 1 depending on my level, but since we don't have to do this anymore, I have Stone 4 over here, because Stone 4 is something, like I said, like the same on the healing page, the 4 skills I use the most, I have the same over here, because they are my 3 main damage skills and I'm mostly using them. So I have Stone over here, which could be debatable to put here, because like Cure is something you probably or should be using more often than Medica, at least in dungeons maybe, but still I have Stone over here. Then I have my Arrow 3 over here, and Arrow 1, because it's like regen instant cast, put it on square. That's how I can easily get used to doing that. Also you can see like I put Presence of Mind and Swift Cast twice. The reason is I think both of them are or could be used in DPSing but also in healing, because yeah, Swift is maybe in healing if I use Raise, not really for Medica or something, maybe in certain situations but usually not. But Presence of Mind could be used to put some healing out quicker, like if in Susano, if there's so much AoE damage and my other healer is down or something, this could be relevant, or also for raising, but that's the reason why I put them on both. Assize is something that could be on both too, but since Assize is just 300 potency and healing and Medica is the same, I usually use Assize for DPSing, and that's why Assize is over here. Lucid Dreaming is something I put on both sides too, because Lucid Dreaming I might be DPSing and don't want to switch back to healing just to use my MP refresh, that's why I put it here too. And besides that, I have my elixirs here too. That's something also I would recommend to all healers. Like, you never know if you need instant MP boost because maybe you were raising too many people or something. You don't need the strongest MP refresh on here, because the cooldown, like you can see, recast is 5 minutes, it's ridiculously high. Unlike the explosion here, which is only 48 seconds. But still, it's ridiculously high, so you should only use this if you really have to. Unlike that, I have Holy over here, which corresponds with Benediction somehow on my page, and Holy could technically be over here, but I'm used to having it here for once. Also, I can use the X button for it, and I can use Swiftcast with it. That's why I lined this up like this, because I often in dungeons use a Swift Holy if available. Also, Thin Air is over here like Asylum. The cooldown is longer, and I could be using Thin Air on this page too, but there is no space for it. Like, what should I remove? Like Plenary Indulgence, because I don't like the skill, but it doesn't really make much sense. It sometimes pops up and I sometimes use it here, but yeah, I usually use Thin Air for DPSing. Usually, not always, but preferred for DPSing. That's why it's over here. And Cleric Stance is something, I mean, you don't have to use it, and I had some interesting comments about Surecast, and I will probably check it out soon enough. But right now I am using Cleric Stance if I do not need a Sooner. And because it's always been over here, I left it over here. Same animation as before. How funny is that? Yeah, but I really don't like the change about Cleric Stance, like somehow, but yeah, that's maybe for another video. But yeah, that's how I put my layout. I have one side for DPSing, and use like it's if I look at it like this, it's like ridiculous how many skills they removed, which like we had Arrow 1, we had a Fluid Arrow which actually was able to deal some damage, and I don't know, it feels like a real cut down right now. Yeah, but it is easier to align your skills right now because you don't need so many spaces. You could probably easily fit this on two sides. If I like move Swiftcast around and move Holy around, I wouldn't even need this side. But like I said, Swiftcast is on the same layer over here, and that really makes more sense to me. Also, like you can see, my rather DPS skills are on the left side, while my rather healing skills are on the right side, even though Asides is here a little too far to the right, and maybe Plenary Indulgence is a little too far to the left. I should just change this around, but also that's something how I got used to. Okay, that's everything I wanted to talk about in this one. I just wanted to show the way I am using my skills, because maybe there are some new healers who need some advice on it. If you have your layout in a different way, that's totally fine. Like, you definitely do not have to do it the way I am doing it. Like, maybe you can put healing on the right side and DPSing on the left side or something, I don't know. But this is just something how I got used to it. Like I said, I'm trying to use similar skills, either similar effects like Medica and Medica 2 on equal buttons, or like instant and instant, just something, and here like off global cooldown and global cooldown, same with this side and this side. That's how I get used to it. Or even skills I don't use too much. Would be curious to know how you people are doing it, because maybe there's even a better way and something you can easily get used to. But I think if you played the game like this for a few years, it's hard to get used to something else. But like I said, this is probably for people who have not been healing too much and are interested in healing or in White Mage, and there are pretty damn much more videos for White Mage to come. I just, like I said, didn't have the possibility to go online, and that's why I'm lacking in content for this week, but I will definitely be doing more during next week. I already have a few things in mind. I also want to cover on tanking, because that's a theme I think I want to talk about, especially on like new tanks and stuff like that. Give me a moment, because my Dark Knight is only on 64. I will be ready probably during next week. And also, maybe if the queue times are getting better, I might be jumping on some DPS too. But I can't guarantee, because queuing for DPS is amazingly bad and I'm not a fan of fate grinding. Yeah, that's pretty much everything I wanted to talk about. Thank you for your patience, and yeah, thank you all for really, because I am amazed how many people were jumping on my White Mage video. It's amazing for me, because I really did not expect this. But I'm pretty happy for all the comments, for all the thumbs up, and for the subscriptions. That's pretty awesome. So thank you again, and catch you guys in the next one.